Welcome to coverage from Rotax Max Challenge South Africa here at Kelso Scribanti for round 2 of this championship. We're going into the Junior Max, and in qualifying in dry conditions, the top 10 are split by a second. Let's find out from Michael Stephen what they need to do with the changeable conditions here today.
I think, obviously the trick to this circuit in the dry is really looking after your rear tires and having lots of rear grip on the back without being understeering. And there's also two 180s where you can really attack it on the brakes and make up a lot of time. In the wet it's quite different. Obviously, the track's well rubbing in for the national, so generally the racing line becomes slippery and you sort of got to drive around the outside of the corner across the rubber, and that's sort of the trick in this track. It does offer a lot of grip this track, with its abrasive nature. So, a little bit different to other tracks.
0.2 of a second is what Kwando Mokoena found in qualifying to beat Troy Dolenschek to the front row of Junior Max. But if you look down to 10th place, the top 10 are split by just over a second. So it's going to be incredibly close. But now with the changeable conditions, let's see what happens in heat number 1.
So is Kelso Scribanti becoming one of your favorite circuits?
Yeah, I've had a pretty good weekend so far. We've been quick to watch the practices since Friday, so we carried the pace on till today. Qualifying was pretty good. I messed up my first lap, but then on the second lap we managed to pull everything back and get a 2. So pretty happy.
So talk to me about this track. Has got one thing not going for it, and it's the tire degradation. How do you go about managing your tires for 3 races?
Yeah, it's going to be very tricky. I think by the 3rd race we'll be like around about half a second off. But I think just not fighting, I'd say trying to just break away and get into your own type of rhythm.
Front row start for tomorrow's racing. Happy about qualifying?
Yeah, I'm happy with qualifying. I think it went alright. I think we could have found about a 10th or 2. I think we could have matched Kwando or even gone a little bit faster. But I'm happy with qualifying. First lap wasn't great. I don't think I warmed up the tyres properly. The double right was a bit of understeer, but other than that, I'm happy with qualifying.
You bring up tyres. That is going to be crucial this weekend because of the abrasive surface.
Yes, this track is very, very difficult on tyres. It chars the tyres, honestly. At the end of one session, you've fallen off 2-3 tenths, and that's nothing like that at another track. It's very bad on this track.
So how does one manage knowing that the 3rd heat is the longest heat?
Yeah, it's very difficult. I mean, this is karting, it's not Formula 1, so it's not necessarily something you can do. It's not Formula 1. You can't save necessarily tires. You've got to push all the time. So it's going to be very difficult in the last heat.
Look, there's a lot. It's a long way ahead in the championship. We just need to keep our head. We just need to, stay focused. We need to try and get the right setup here. It's a lot about strategizing because the track's chewing away at our tires. So it's going to be interesting in the last race of tomorrow, due to having more laps actually than the first 2 races. So it's going to be very interesting, and it's going to be definitely down to the driver.
The one challenge for tyre conservation, the smoother drivers always seem to be easier on the tyres, therefore they have something left. How do you manage that in the first 2 heats?
Yeah, look, it's going to be tough because you want to get your tires warm and you want to get a quick start. You don't want to be too cold on the start and then let the boys get away. So yeah, it's just going to determine whether you can stay with the pack conserving your tires, and then hopefully you can win the race, because you see, if you cook your tires too early, you're not going to have a chance at the end.
Well, first of all, the qualifying, it wasn't really my best laps. I felt that I was sliding too much, not really the best traction with new tires and not going out for that many laps. Just the new rules here, and I don't think I did too well because the car just didn't feel right at some corners, but hopefully my goal for tomorrow is maybe a podium, or if not, maybe if we know we can't do that, then maybe a top 5. But all in all, I think it's been a good day. Not better than yesterday, but still a good day, and hopefully for some good races tomorrow, and maybe get some good points.
Now, I looked at these karts as they came out of the pre-race, and also chatting to some of the drivers and some of the teams. It looks like Kwanda and Joseph Ools might be in a bit of trouble there. they have got some shorter stub axles to play with, which is not what you need in tricky conditions like this, as we see the start heading down towards turn number 1. You join myself, Greg Maloney, and Prince Indaweni here for commentary from Junior Max at Calcio Scribanti, round 2 of the Rotax Max Challenge Championship. And Quantum Mokoena, with that stub axle missing at the front end, a narrower kart to play with, could possibly hinder his ability to stay at the front end. Let's see what he does now as he comes out of turn 4. Oh, he's already under attack. There you go, diving through. What a move. Not going to be an easy day in the saddle there, as they all come flying into the twisties for the very first time. Dolenchek and Visser starting to put the pressure on to Quantum Mokoena. And you can see Joseph Ools also taking a little bit of strain there in that mid-pack. About 6th place for Ools there. And look for him to try and make up as much ground as he can. Also going to be battling there with the slightly narrower kart without those stub axles to play with.
Yeah, Dolenchek might have been the first to hear that Gwanda's at a bit of a disadvantage, capitalizing immediately. But so we'll see how Gwanda's able to get the guys behind him to follow. Cal Visser is going to be one to capitalize. We know that for sure. The older of the Visser brothers.
And he's right there. He is not too far off the front end, already applying the pressure, trying to find a way through on Gwanda. Quantum Mokoena looks over his shoulder. You can see they've all gone with, I think, everybody except maybe 4th place at this stage. And that is 414, Akil Alibi, who's decided to go with the smoked visor as opposed to the clear visors out there. It is tricky. It's even more tricky if you can't see. Quantum Mokoena comes back at Visser. Akil Alibi goes on his inside. Tries to find a way past, can't make it stick, but Visser fighting hard and fighting for his life there between the 2 stablemates. Remember, one out of Squadra Corsa and the FA chassis. The other one is OTK and RKT team there, Akil Alibi. Oh, and look at that. He has a big dive, can't quite make it stick, but he's having to make it stick, because if he doesn't, look who's right on his tail.
He's got a lot to watch out for. 3 drivers very ready to capitalize on whatever mistake he makes. Bearing in mind the technical... Oh, there it is, right down the inside. Is he able to? No. Shuts the front door. Very nice defending from Gwanda, but still. Oh, he couldn't keep it closed there.
No, he couldn't, because he can't turn the kart. He's battling with that narrow kart, and the amount of grip available to him is not enough. He runs off the circuit, and Levi goes through. Tate Bishop going to go with him. Bishop goes straight through. Easily done. Yeah, that is down to 5th place there for Quantum Mokoena. Our pole man is down to 5th, and we're only into lap 3. Oh, there's a tap. A big tap there from Akil Levi. He's going to have to be careful for that. The angry kart getting a little tap there from the RKT man, and it could be a nose cone infringement. I think there's a possibility there. I don't think it's gone in too much. We'll wait and see, but there was certainly a little bit of bumping from behind there, and Levi cannot afford to do that. Parked on the sideline. Can you believe that? Storm Lanfear, man who was in the top 6 in qualifying, he's now out of the race. Not what he wanted in race 1, that is for sure.
Yeah, and while he's down interjected out on the outside, Cal Visser running away with it, really. Doesn't have much to worry about for the time being. Quantum Mokoena is falling a long way off from where we saw him starting out in front. Really, it shows the huge difference that you find in different setups, hey Greg?
Yeah, for sure. And you can see yesterday, the dominant man by 0.2 of a second. Now, 0.2 of a second is a country mile when it comes to karting. Oh, and speaking of country, don't go cross-country on us there. That is Sebastian Smith, who makes a big mistake and just comes back on the circuit on the other side of the track. Is that the right way to do things? I'm not sure. He'll have to give those positions back, which is exactly what he did. Well done, Seb. So he gives that position back to Nicholas Veit and Lorenzo Chianfanelli.
No, luckily it wasn't too many positions that Smith had to give back there, so he can still make up for the huge mistake.
So this mid-pack battle starting to heat up. Levi also doesn't seem to have the setup like he had yesterday in the dry. So I think these tricky conditions that these boys have woken up to this morning have caught a couple of the teams out, and they maybe haven't got the setups just right. Throughout the day, though, into heat 2 and 3, potentially things could change. We're about a lap and a half down to go now, and Visser is all over the back of Dolenchek. The 2 of them going at it. Dolenchek leading at the moment, but I think Visser looks the more dangerous of the 2.
Yeah, Visser doesn't mind rubbing at all, and at this point, with 1.5 laps to go, anything could give him a chance to capitalize. So Dolenchek definitely has to keep it together. Look at him looking over his shoulder there. He knows Visser's right on his rear.
And you can see he's also running, if you look at his helmet, I hope you get a shot of that. Yeah, he's running that insert inside the visor, a yellow insert, which basically gives him a slightly better vision. And if it's one of those that clip on the inside of the visor, it also stops the visor from misting up. Look at that, around the outside. That's the kind of vision you can get. Oh, and he forces him wide off the circuit. Visser goes completely on the attack. And yes, thanks for coming. Diving through there on Dolenchek. Dolenchek going to try and come back now with a lap to go.
going to be very tough for him to close that gap. Visser really capitalized there. And with the pressure under Dolinchik at the moment, rather the pressure on Dolinchik, it's going to be hard to focus and dial in on the small details that will make the difference to him catching up.
It's so close between those two, and in fact, look who's just behind them. Tate Bishop is in the mix and could potentially spoil the day there for these two if something goes wrong. And at this stage, with the kind of pressure that they're applying on each other, something could go wrong here dramatically.
Yeah, and right behind Bishop is Alibai there, but he fell a bit of a long way back there. He couldn't make the most of the opportunity that he might have had. Perhaps also sets up issue on his side, maybe a bit too narrow, as in the case of Gwanda Mokoena, who is not inside at all.
Carl Visser looking for that checkered flag for the first win of the day, and that's exactly what he's going to get as he crosses the line. He takes the first victory ahead of Dolinchik. Akil Alibai looks like he's going to be gifted third place, because by the looks of things and on the results, yes, a 5-second penalty is going to be implied there on Tate Bishop. So Akil Alibai and Tate Bishop will swap over from third and fourth place. Joseph Ools, who backed a little bit like Gwanda Mokoena did there with those stub axles, down in fifth ahead of Mokoena. Then it was Kian Finelli, Veit, Smith, Bungani and Lanfear out with a DNS.
So talk to me about race 1.
Well, race 1 was very good because it was raining. All the tips my brother gave me really helped out, so I can overtake and get that lacquer gap. But we'll try and get the next heat as well.
Heat 2 now, and look at that, our first place man from heat number 1 on pole position. Alongside him, Tate Bishop, the man who got that 5-second nose cone infringement penalty. He'll be looking to turn that around, I'm sure, as they head down towards what is now turn 1 on the start, but eventually becomes turn 6 on the main circuit. Down into turn 1, and right on his tail goes Visser. It's Tate Bishop, Akil Alibai, and then Joseph Ools. I wonder if Ools and Gwanda Mokoena have found some slightly wider stub axles to play with here for heat number 2. Change up already. Sure, no holds barred there for Dolinchik. Just dives straight on the inside, finds a way through, and makes his way to the front ahead of Visser, and then Tate Bishop. Akil Alibai had a big look. The Burrell Art man on his tail. That, of course, is Ools, and Ools now looking for a chance to get through on that RKT machine of Alibai.
Yeah, Dolinchik didn't waste any time getting out in the front. He saw how Visser ran away with it early on, so he's going to try and open and stretch his legs a bit there. But less wet race than race 1, would you say, Greg?
Not as much spray, that is for sure. It has dried out, but not dry enough to go to slicks just yet. I don't think anybody decided to get out there on slick tyres. If they did, they were going to be in for a very tough day in the saddle. But now as they head back down towards turn 6, it's Visser trying to close down on the man in front, Troy Dolinchik. They're lining up behind, and in fact, Gwanda Mokoena has closed in on the back end there with Ools. So this time they're a little bit closer. I wonder if they've played around with a bit of setup, because I know they didn't find any wider stub axles to play with. So they might have had to just adjust things on the carts to make them a bit more competitive. And it looks like they're starting to pay off there, because definitely Ools on the back end of Alibai. And of course his ex-stablemate there, Gwanda Mokoena, just about 3 cart lengths back.
Yeah, we might be able to see some team play there with Mokoena as well as Ools. But highly unlikely, as these youngsters are very competitive. I'm just looking at the body language of Visser right behind Dolinchik. He's not giving him any chance. The moment Dolinchik makes a mistake, definitely Visser's going to capitalize on that.
That's if he makes a mistake. But the Cape Town boys have not put a wheel wrong here this morning, and now into the afternoon. So let's see whether or not they can keep it all together. Look at that, a bit of an adjustment coming out of Alibai. Trying to richen up the mixture a little bit there as they go down that straight, trying to get a little bit of extra pace out of that cart, just to bridge the gap between himself and Ools. They come through Mojo S's now, and look at how tight it is. These 6 carts, anybody can take this victory out. And in fact, the way they're going, have a look just behind them. Storm Lanfear, the man who didn't even finish in the first race. He is not too far off the back end there of Mokoena.
Yes, he's back in it, but he's going to need a lot of hard work to get up with the front. It's always easier to make pace when you have a cart in front of you. You can sort of mark out where he's making mistakes and capitalize and use the toe.
And I think that's exactly what Lanfear is doing. He's watching where these guys are making mistakes. He's realizing that there's a bit of a battle going on between them, which is slowing them up slightly, just enough for Lanfear maybe to bridge that gap and to get through. Now as they come back down towards turn number 3, through 4, triple left-hander here, and as they come through that one, you can see Tate Bishop has lost a little bit of ground now to the top 2. Dolinchik has just put in a really good pace. He's got down to a 55.8. He's the first man to get into the 55s in this race. Everybody else behind him looking at the low to mid 56s in terms of lap times.
Yeah, without a doubt, and you can see it in his body language. He hasn't had to look over his shoulder in a while, which is something he did a lot in the earlier race.
And that's exactly why he's getting away. Ooh, mistake.
Smith again.
4, 5, 6. Sebastian Smith off the circuit again. Not the way he wanted to be doing that. So 9 of 12. It's opened up slightly there to third place Tate Bishop. And even though he's driving the angry cart, he's not driving as angrily as what he was earlier on. And behind that, they're lining up. Ools is definitely on a charge, looking for a way through there on Alibi. And I think Akil Alibi could be in a bit of trouble. Alibi has been closed down a lot closer than what we saw earlier on. And speaking of a lot closer, Tate Bishop is also being reeled in by the two of them.
Yeah, Tate Bishop sort of leading the tow there. Alibi just has to watch out for that parole cart at any moment. You're right, Greg. He could be seeing a dive down the inside. But at the moment, the gap doesn't seem to be as big. Oh, I spoke too soon. Look at that. He's very close to his rear bumper at the moment.
He's going to have to be very careful. Remember, he's already had a nose cone infringement penalty put on him. So you don't want to be doing that again. It's going to have to be it's so difficult with this nose cone infringement penalty that they bring in because they're used to having a little bit of rubbing, a little bit of racing that happens in karting. But if you're too aggressive and you bump that nose cone in too much, 5-second penalty. And Tate's already had one today. He can't afford another one.
And I like how you mentioned how you saw Alibi making an adjustment to his engine mixture and the fuel-air mixture he's getting. His team may have leaned towards engine setup as opposed to chassis since he's sort of at a disadvantage. So you can see him pull away the gap down the straight, but in the turns, Ools has a bit of an advantage and he closes that gap.
He closes the gap, and they're also starting to close that gap down, as I said, on the man in front. So let's see what's going to happen now. Can they do anything about Tate Bishop? Ools and Alibi closing down. But now, as I say that, in fact, I'm completely wrong there because it looks like Bishop has reopened that gap. It's about 4 or 5 cart lengths now. It was down to 2 about a lap and a half ago, and now opening up a little bit. So maybe the pit board's going out there and just warning that there is an attack coming from the back. We're on the final lap here now. As we go into the closing stages, this man has had it all his own way in race number 2. Troy Dolenchek, the class of the field, there's no doubt about it. And in fact, if I look behind him, just trying to pick up, have we still got second place and Carl Visser? Yes, it is. Visser's still there, but only just.
Man, how long it took you to find Visser's name there shows the size of the gap. Dolenchek has really put his head down and put the work in. He's put in some of his best laps probably of the weekend right now.
He comes across the line to celebrate a victory. And in second place, a super run there to the line. So confirmation of the results there for race number 2. Troy Dolenchek taking the victory by Carl Visser in second, then Tate Bishop, Akil Alibi, Joseph Ools and Kwanda Mokoena. They're in 5 and 6. Lanfear ahead of Vate, and then Bongani, Kian Finelli and Sebastian Smith in 11th place. Race 3 action now, and at the front, the 2 contenders, Visser and Dolenchek, each have taken a victory. Who's going to take the final one here on the day? Or will Akil Alibi, Tate Bishop, Ools or Mokoena be able to do anything about them? As they head down towards turn number 1, look out for Storm Lanfear. Much better start there from the 427. The green helmet just behind that gold one on your left-hand side of your screen. Heading down into turn 1 now. They all sort things out and everybody stays upright and on the grey stuff as they head into the twisties. It is Dolenchek around the outside, but Visser comes back at him. Oh, a little sideways action there from Dolenchek, and he slides on the inside to get back and into the mix. Here comes Alibi. Alibi up the inside into second place. Here comes Tate Bishop as well, and Ools. Who's your money on here, Prince?
I'm going to say Alibi. Alibi looks very confident for someone who was almost nowhere in the previous race. But apart from him, definitely Dolenchek. I mean, the pace he had leading out the front with no real challenge. I don't know. I think he's going to take this one, Greg.
They call him Kart 14. That's why he's got the 414. And Alibi all over the back end now of Visser. Visser trying to break the gap and get away from this pack. Dolenchek in third with Tate Bishop just behind him. Then it's Joseph Ools, Kwanda Mokoena sliding from Dolenchek. He's working that cart way beyond its limits, and that's the reason he has to, because Alibi is in front of him and he doesn't want to be there. Troy Dolenchek wants to be at the front of this race and take the overall victory and the third race of the day.
Yeah, who comes out in front when it's 2 OTK carts going at it? But I think there's something in Alibi's setup that's really giving him the upper edge and the advantage. You saw the confidence he had going up the inside of some of the riders there in lap 1.
Definite change up in terms of confidence coming out of Ools and Mokoena too. Although they've had to play around with setup because they still haven't found any answer to the slightly narrow carts that they've got. And those front ends are battling to turn. That's why the first 4 are getting away. But speaking of the first 4, the 477, Visser is just eating them up and getting away from the rest of them.
Yeah, a lot of counter steer from Visser there. I think it's gotten a bit more wet. That particular part of the circuit looked a lot mistier too.
Now, I think there's a little bit of wetness in the sky there. Possibly going to be a little bit of rain coming down here and a bit of drizzle. It's been on and off the whole day. And that's exactly why conditions and the racecraft has had to come into play here in a big way for a lot of these drivers. Dolenchek disappearing and looking for a chance now to get away from a Levi. He's bridged about 2 kart lengths, but he's still got to catch the back end of Visser. Visser's at the front, Dolenchek in second. A Levi fending off the attack there from the Angry Man, and you can see Tate Bishop means business. In fact, he had a big look there, nearly dived on the inside to try and find a way past, but didn't quite make it stick.
Speaking of angry men, I think Mokoena might be a bit frustrated seeing Aliba sort of run away with it there, his former stablemate. He's got one Tate Bishop to get past, and Tate Bishop is no slouch, so it's going to be a bit of trouble for him to get past him.
Well, with the rain coming down now, you can see different conditions here, and Visser is not enjoying them as much as what Dolenchek is. In fact, Visser's run off. Yeah, Visser's run off all on his own sim. So as I said that, it was a bit of a commentator's curse, but not really, because I was just saying that he was battling a little bit there in the trickier conditions, and he ran off all on his own sim. So Visser makes a big mistake there, allows a Levi through and Tate Bishop, and that's given Troy Dolenchek a chance for a second victory out of 3 here today.
There it is, small lapse in concentration costs you how many positions? That's 3 that he just lost there, so he's going to have a lot of work to do. Bishop is not going to be a slouch. Alibi definitely isn't, he's a lot more confident. He's got his elbows out for race 3. We'll see what happens with the toe that he's leading at the moment.
482 with some problems. Kian Fanelli parked on the sideline. That's a bit of a pity there for Lorenzo, but I'm sure he'll be making up ground and looking forward to the 3rd round now, because he can do nothing about this battle out front right now. He comes through and the battle continues. Visser losing ground though, and looks like there's a big move coming here. It's going to be for 2nd place. A Levi, well, as I said that, a Levi pulled about 2 kart lengths over Tate Bishop, but Bishop definitely looked like he was closing things down there on a Levi.
For one man who has nothing being closed down on him is Dolenchek. He's got a clean lead ahead of him. He looks very comfortable at the moment. The closest man to him is a Levi, but he's got a lot of defending to do.
What is going on there?
Again, in the same part of the track. It might be a setup issue. I thought it was a lapse of concentration. Maybe it's just the way his kart is behaving around that particular part.
He's pushing hard, that's why. He's trying to close down on those 2 that are fighting for 2nd and 3rd. And unfortunately, it's cost him. So he may have to settle for 4th place here. I don't think he's going to have an answer. We are coming into the closing stages of this 3rd and final heat. A Levi under attack. There you go. Oh, what a move. Similar chassis, and up the inside, Bishop squeezes through. Nicely done. So a Levi getting outgunned there, and Bishop now up in a 2nd. Can he hang on till the checkered flag? Has he got some pace, maybe even to catch the man out front?
Yeah, I was just going to say there, Greg. The angry man looks very composed. That's a very smooth move on Alibi. We'll see if he's already opening the gap, actually. So he's definitely got the legs. It seems Alibi was actually holding him back as opposed to pulling him ahead.
Well, they start the final lap. That is the lead that Dolenchek has over Tate Bishop. Alibi has a comfortable margin over Visser. Let's watch Visser through here, see if he gives it on the grey stuff. No, he's sliding in there. He is really battling. I wonder if those tyres have gone off. A very good possibility he's worn those wet weather tyres out and they've got no more grip available. That's why he's having to use his multiple championships and experience to keep the kart on the the grey stuff here in Kelso Scribanti.
Yeah, it looks like he was leaning a bit out to the left to keep as much grip as possible and weight as possible on his tyres as he was turning right in that turn where he kept struggling.
456 Sebastian Smith moves out the way as the leader comes through. He realizes he's going to have no answer to the man who has dominated yet today and continued the domination we saw from him down in Cape Town. This is a man who could potentially take a championship here, and great stuff from Troy Dolenchek to take a 2nd victory on the day out of 3 ahead of Tate Bishop, who comes through for 2nd, a Levi in 3rd, and Carl Visser in 4th place. What a race meeting here for the Junior Max. Dolenchek and Bishop the top 2 ahead of a Levi and Visser. Ools ahead of Mokoena. Storm Lanfear up in the 7th place, beating out Malungeni, and then it was Vate, Bungani, Smith and Kian Fanelli with that DNF parked on the sideline.
2nd round of a championship, done and dusted, and once again for you, overall win.
Yeah, I'm very happy with today. Today went well. First heat not too well, but the other 2 came through and very strong pace.
Conditions were tricky and difficult.
Yeah, it was very tricky, but I enjoy the wet conditions, and this track, it's really nice in the wet conditions.
You know, going forward after the first 2 rounds, you've now done your home race. Now you're going to places where you don't visit that often.
Yeah,
So
it's-
is it good to carry on the momentum that you've built up?
Yes, it's going to be difficult for everybody because not everybody goes to Durban, Edubi. Not everybody drives there every day, so it's going to be very difficult for everybody. And in winter it might be raining there, so it's going to be difficult for everybody.
But you obviously saying bring the rain.
Yes, I love the rain. It's very nice.